Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of International Bulk Wine and Spirit Show and also Beverage Trade Network. Thanks for coming here. I really wanted to do a quick shout out on why this year's IBWSS show is going to be the biggest show. The subject and the theme of the conference is planned around 4 pillars. We're going really deep into the business of bulk wine, bulk spirits, and private label. What's going to happen this year is, there are lots of movements happening around sustainability, around private label, around small batch. So everything is going to come and play here. So we're going to really have deep discussions around what other companies are doing. Some big companies, how they are practicing this, how they've grown, and how new buying is happening around this national chain. So this is where we really talk business of the business. So please join me at International Bulk Wine and Spirit Show on July 25th and 26th, and I look forward to seeing you all there. Todd, welcome to the show. I have you here. We want to know about what's going on in the bulk wine, bulk spirits, and for sure, you are CRA. You know what's happening in the bulk wine global movement, right? I see definitely. I hear you that it's flat, it's maybe slow. So let's hear what you've got there. What is the first quarter data saying to you, Todd?
Well, we're still experiencing, as you kind of mentioned, you'll see, and people are not unaware of it out there, how slow it is. Good thing. White wine demand is still there, and we're still seeing some good sales and some good purchases volume-wise around the world. And all our different offices are seeing some good demand in some of the white wine. So that's okay. The red continues to be somewhat of a problematic situation, especially when we're talking about bulk wine sales and supply. With the way that the economics are working out right now, and people, especially producers, not wanting more inventory and kind of worried about carrying that inventory, those red wines become a problem. And that's what we're kind of experiencing. And that's kind of like painting with a very broad brush, right? Mm-hmm. There are some markets out there that do well in the reds, but very few right now.
Do you think that's somewhere connected to inflation and bringing the price down? Ultimately, looks like because more supply will happen, and then people will start discounting a little bit more and offering better prices, and then the price may come down by some margins, but the volumes are still going to be there. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, you hit margins. It's all about that margin, right? And I don't care what country you're in, if you're here in the United States or if you're in Chile, who has some good demand on some of their side, even some of the products that are coming out of Italy and stuff like that. It's all about that gap and where you're making your money. And right now with the reds, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for them. That's why you see the white wines in such a high demand, because it is a faster turnover, easier to turn over a little bit of more cash flow into your business. So that's why I think you see a little bit more demand coming from the white wine side. Let's
bring some positivity out here for the winemakers, right? In red, where is the ray of hope? Like what at least is moving? There must be a couple of varietals that's picking up.
It depends on what country you're in. There's a highlight in every single country.
Let's say what is US buying right now? If I just say which two varietals is on the growth.
In the United States, still a glowing product or a glowing area is Napa. Napa continues to be something that everybody wants to see. The prices are remaining high. There's good volume being moved around. So you're definitely feeling very confident that if you have something above and beyond Napa, or you're looking at the Napa product, I don't care if it's white or red, you're having some good activity around it. And the demand is there. Where you see other demand possibly is around the whites. So you see Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc still very strong in the marketplace. Pricing has come down a little bit since the end of the fourth quarter of 22, and then in the first quarter of 23, you've seen a little bit of price weakening. But that's expected. We've seen that a lot over my history here at Ciati.
What about China picking up, right? Like we see some trade data saying, is China buying? Is that a better option than US for the next 12 months as pitching?
Yeah, we're have to wait for some of these trade agreements to really get ratified and to get traded, especially for Australia, right? That's the one that a lot of people look at all the time. Even when we had some issues with Australia and stuff like that, we did see like other upticks from other countries getting stuff in, like South Africa. Chile became a destination for China to go purchase a lot of stuff. So, but with the backup that's happened in Australia over the multiple vintages and that's sticking around, if they get that thing signed up and they eliminate that 100% tariff, man, that opens up a lot more doors and makes it a lot easier for Australia right now, because they're coming off another harvest here, even though it's on a little bit of the lighter side. They still got multiple vintages backed up.
One fun question, right? If you were a winery and a winemaker and in the bulk wine business, what would be your three things that you would do next 90 days?
Next 90 days. Oh, wow. So if first three things, I think number three, you're probably having to look at inventory wise and make sure that you get those transfer dates and you get those bottling dates locked in. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, especially when you start to talk about here domestically in the United States, where you can see if someone's willing to put out the effort. I think that there's some good chances. What we see a lot of cases that, we're on that 21, 22 sales cycle should be the hottest in any market going into the second quarter of this year. And we really haven't seen the demand pick up yet. So I think there's an opportunity there. And I think the other part of it is really start to look at your relationships. I mean, relationships are everything in this business, and really hone in, whether you're buying grapes from that relationship, whether it's a bulk wine supplier, whether it's dealing with your broker, whether it's dealing with your retail sales and everything. Let's get those relationships solidified and strengthening so that we can move forward. Because we're right now we're looking at a tough time. That's not always going to be like that. It's not always going to be tough. There's going to be some good times ahead of us.
What about retail chains? Have you seen purchase order quantities go down, like from the big retail buyers who are doing private labels?
Well, yes. The easier answer is probably you've seen the prices go up from the producers. To try and establish and maintain those margins that they've established over the time. So that's once the price goes up, sales do go down no matter what. Mm-hmm. Those retailers are passing on the prices at this point in time. So yeah, you've definitely seen some slowing on the retail slide. More so because the price is going up.
What's your feeling on this whole recessionary navigation that people are worried about, which is the reason people don't want more inventory, right? Like we don't know the cash flow, the payment cycle, so that's why it's better to sense a little stock than holding more credit out there. What's your gut? What is the thing on the street like for the overseas winemakers? You're right at the heart of the country. Obviously, you see the pulse of the U.S. market. What's your feeling on the consumer?
The consumer's buying wine, especially wine, now for the moment, for the event, for the thing. There's no more, or you don't feel the buying activity being a case and keeping it or laying it down or keeping it for another special occasion, right? You buy the wine for that night, whatever you're doing, whatever it calls for, whether it's sparkling wine, whether it's a red wine for your pasta, or it's a white wine for your fish dishes that you're going to do that night. And that's hard to predict what's going to end up happening, right? Because some of that has to do with consumer models. Whether they're a true traditional wine drinker, or they're just, it's just for the event. Because you're seeing the spirits world really do really strong numbers in terms of sales, especially on-premise sales, where it hurts the wine industry. We don't see a lot of that on-premise sales really moving upward at this point in time. And said again, that cost is getting so expensive. It's prohibiting a lot of these people from buying glasses of wine at the restaurants and on your site spots.
In fact, I personally see this as a good move by business operators, because they're just being cautious, so less orders, very careful about buying and selling these days. So I think it's a proactive approach, rather than not paying a bill and going bankrupt, right? So that is why we're seeing a little bit of very smart moves by companies, I think, because they're just readjusting, and then after that peak, now it's the normal stuff. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, and that's a good thing, because like I said, some of those companies might have been living off credit for the last couple of years, and with the inflation that's going up, that's going.
And what that means also, Todd, I think we may be lucky, and there may be more repeat purchase orders than the bigger quantities, right? Like there may be more buying frequency if things just don't go into a recession. We may buy.
I would agree with that. No, I would 100% agree with that. Like I said, I like that. I like the direction you're headed, and I like what you're saying. I hope that's what ends up happening for sure. I hope that ends up happening, because like I said, we can't say it enough. And all these downtimes we've had, especially domestically here in California, all these downtimes, we've had something to fall back on. And especially when it comes to those introductory priced wines or those lower priced wines, whatever you want to say. And, California, because of the costs and because of what we've done here, it's hard to say that we have those products to fall back on at this point in time. So unless people start to trade up and make smarter decisions, we're going to find ourselves in a very long supply situation here soon. Right now, we're in a very good balanced position, I would say. But we're trending towards a long position if it continues to happen like that, man. We don't, but I like what you're saying. I think what you're saying is the right direction.
Hopefully, yeah. On the RTDs and non-alcoholic or low alcoholic products, right? How do you, as a company, Ciari, see this affecting, for good a wine business? What do you see big players? Because you guys touch base and talk with a lot of big companies, right? Like when Pernod Ricard announces that they're launching, let's say, an RTD, or when Jack Daniel and Coke merges, right? There's a lot of big companies going in that direction. So as a company, like what do you see? Are you planning to start a brokerage business of low alcohol wines as well now, or what's happening there?
Yeah, the trends are always there, whatever the trend is, and that's the current trend, right? Rather it be a skinny wine because it has less calories in it, or the low calorie RTDs that you're talking about, or the low calorie beers. Everything has a trend line to it, and everything is happening. We're not going to go out as the Ciari company go out and start a whole new division and start chasing some of this business. We've seen it for a long time, and we've always been try and stay in front of it. But again, it's one of those trends that's happening out there. It's a current, just like the sustainability, the organic, those are all trends that people are going towards. We have to pay attention to them as an industry, right? We have to service the customers that are buying our products. We can't ignore them. But the traditional way of wine goes, and the traditional drinker and stuff like that, if we put something good into a bottle, I don't care if it's low alcohol, if it's an RTD, or if it's a traditional wine sense, you're going to sell wine. You're going to sell a product as long as it's good. And that's what we have to focus on, especially in these economic times. I think I tell this to a lot of my clients and stuff like that. Let's make sure that we deliver on the price that we're putting on the product, right? Let's over deliver for the price. Let's not under deliver.
Have you got any other thing that you would want to say, or some data numbers from your latest report or anything?
No, I think one thing, is, again, I always say, and put it out there that, that we do those monthly reports for go around the world. I think sometimes, the words really haven't changed. The story hasn't changed here in the past couple of months, especially going probably since the end of the fourth quarter last year, November, December of last year, going into all of this year of 2023. But the prices have stayed the same too. So we really haven't, it's not a bad situation we're totally in, right? We are scuffling a little bit for demand, right? You love to see, especially after all the short harvests around the world last year here domestically, and then some of the short stuff that's coming on the Southern Hemisphere at this point in time, you'd love to see a little more of an uptick in terms of demand, but prices are still stable. There's still buyers out there, very specific buyers. They're only buying for what they need at the moment, almost like a consumer is buying at this point in time. They're not buying for the future or not trying to oversupply themselves. They're just getting for what they need for the moment. That I expect to change at some point in time. I expect someone to
grab a deal, like a bulk buy.
Yeah, I think have some foresight to take advantage of the situation. Because there are opportunities. There are opportunities in this wine business right now, and I think someone's going to take advantage of it. I hope it's more sooner than later, but we'll see what happens. That time will tell.